Not yet Mill dislikes me. But I now understand why. Fiancé and I have been together about 2 years now. I always had a hunch that his mom didn't like me because we come from two very different worlds. But she was always respectful and kind to me, so of course I was towards her as well. No issues, that I was aware of, up until a couple weeks ago. Mill planned a last-minute weekend trip, invited my fiancé and I, but we both have full-time jobs and cannot take multiple days off with a week's notice, so we were unable to go, but appreciated the invite. Since we weren't able to go, his mom and sisters saw that as an opportunity to ask us to dog sit his sister's dog. This sister in particular said some pretty hurtful stuff to my fiancé a few weeks prior, and when he confronted her about how it made him feel, she completely ignored him. So my fiancé decided to decline for that reason, as well as the fact he had been traveling for 8 weeks straight for work and was exhausted and just wanted a weekend to relax and unwind. Well, his mom asked him about 10 more times. Each time the answer was still no. Then his sister asked, again, answer was still no. They all had a meltdown about how he was ruining their trip because of this and hurting his mom. This all really hurt his feelings, of course. I told him that the dog is not his responsibility and that there are plenty of other options for the dog. He's just the free one. So the day before the trip, they ask again. Fiancé is irate at this point. He starts to send them all a group text and asks me what I think about it. It was pretty mean. I told him I wouldn't word it like that and typed out what I thought was a stern, but respectful message. Just listing out the reasons of why we cannot watch the dog, and ended with, "This is not up for discussion. Please respect our decision." Let him read it and decide if he wanted to send it. He added in a couple things and decided to send it. Immediately, my fiancé's phone blew up with calls from his mom and sisters saying he was extremely disrespectful, calling him childish, guilt-tripping him about how much his parents have done for him, raised him, etc. He started breaking down. There was some other personal issues he had going on at this time as well, and was just completely overwhelmed, so I felt awful. Not sure why, but I figured maybe if I told them I was the one who worded it, that it would be taken differently. Well, it wasn't. Called his mom and told her. She didn't say much to me, which is fine. Apologized for the text coming off disrespectful, as that wasn't our intention at all. I should have just kept that hidden from them, I guess. He calls his mom the next day and had it on speaker. She starts rambling about how she's never been so disrespected by anyone in her entire life the way that I did, how I'm alienating him from his family and taking her baby away, and how I inserted myself into a family issue, non-intentionally. I have not once ever told him he could not see/speak to his family. We pretty much see his family on a weekly basis when he's not traveling for work. He sees them even more to help out when I'm at work. We see my family maybe once a month. If that. I was irate but didn't say anything. Just went to the room and cried because I was angry. I'm the type of person who can handle confrontation. If someone has an issue with me, I would prefer they come to me and talk about it, and vice versa. Most problems can be easily solved with simple conversation. I was upset that she never told me she had an issue with me. I'd been racking my head all week trying to figure out why she would say that. I knew she was upset about my fiancé standing his ground. And I will admit to encouraging him to set boundaries with his family because they take advantage of him to the point of him being emotionally/physically exhausted and overwhelmed. He says no one time and the whole world is on fire. Well, I had a talk with my fiancé the other day. We moved in together about a year ago. I was having to start from the ground up with a new job to build clientele, so I was really struggling with money for a bit, even working 2 jobs 6 days a week. During that time, he broke down to me about how he was in credit card debt and drowning financially, brought up how I rarely cook or clean and need to make more money. Again, I was working 2 jobs. Wouldn't get home until 10 at night most days. I was exhausted just scraping to get by. So I cut out a lot of things financially, even though I wasn't doing much in the first place. Started skipping meals to save money, stopped getting my hair done, which was like an every 4 to 6 month deal, stopped buying makeup and skincare completely, basically only spending money on some food, gas, and food for the dog and cat. Got a much better job about 6 months ago, and so we've been in a much better place financially. Well, he talked to his mom about all of this. Before talking to me about it, so I had no idea he was drowning in debt and overwhelmed. Mind you, failing to bring up the fact that I was working 2 jobs, 6 days a week, 12 hours a day. Never seeing friends or family to save gas money. So of course I'm sure his mom thinks I'm over here freeloading off of him. I told my boyfriend this and how it was unfair to me because I wasn't aware, because he was upset and not seeing all of the effort I was putting in, and because now his mom has a negative opinion of me based on that, and how our relationship issues should stay between us because the situation is the exact reason why. I was so upset. Still am. I can't be mad at her for saying those things about me after he talked to her about all of this. I'd probably think the same way. I'm not sure how I'm supposed to clean up this mess of a situation. So for right now, I'm keeping my distance from his family. My grandpa is currently in hospice, so that is my main concern at the moment. I'm open to any and all advice because I'm very stuck at the moment. Comment. He sounds like a demanding shit, really. Wanted cleaning and cooking and more money when you were already working 2 jobs. Hiding huge debt from you. And discussing all of this with his mommy. You don't have a mill problem. You have a husband problem. Hold up, he chose to move in with you knowing he was in a bad financial situation and hiding that from you. He could have easily ruined your life. That's a huge red flag on him. You don't need to worry what his mom thinks of you. At the end of the day it doesn't matter. Plus she's a garbage person, so her opinion holds no weight. Your fiancé may want to consider therapy. He learned a lot of unhealthy habits around his family, and it isn't your responsibility to teach him everything. Yes, you support him and help some, but the bulk of it should come from elsewhere. I think keeping your distance is an excellent idea, and hopefully fiancé will do the same. His phone isn't capable of blocking her number? She may try, but he is ultimately the one who enables her to continue harassing him. He needs to take responsibility of his hand in creating and / or allowing this abuse to continue. Switching from a totally helpless victim of the circumstance to someone who acknowledges what they did to contribute to the situation is a huge empowering move. It's scary at first, but overall it is a needed step to becoming a mature, wise adult. You don't clean up anything, it's not your mess. This is where your BF levels up his independent adulting, or, he doesn't and fails. It sounds like your personal experience with controlling mom / parents is causing you to over-sympathize to the point of interfering with his growth and journey to freedom from control. Your best move here is to take a giant step back and drop the rope with his family. Refer your BF to some tools and resources and encourage him to start his own journey out of the fog, fear, obligation, and guilt. There are some great references in the sidebar of this sub. The Raised by Narcissists sub could also be of interest to your BF. He might want to consider individual counseling addressing toxic and emotionally manipulative family relationships. Good luck to you both. Your fiancé would probably benefit from some therapy to learn how to cope with his family. My suggestion is that he use this to turn down other requests to help or even socialize. Bring it up every time, with fiancé making it clear it was his decision not to watch the dog. Something like this. Why should I help you with anything when you make unreasonable demands and harass me? You behaved appallingly about the dog, and your over-the-top behavior makes it seem you don't value anything I do. So, it's best if you handle it yourself. Let's be real here. What she's saying underneath all of that is, would he be talking about boundaries if you weren't behind the scenes backing him up? Probably not. So you're not literally talking through him, you're empowering him to stand up for himself, and she doesn't want that. She's wording it like an insult to strip his power from him. She's trying to tell him that he has no personal power, that if it isn't her bossing him around, it's you. It's sad to see a parent actively try to make their child feel powerless. Next story 2. What storm is heading my way? My husband and I are expecting our first baby. I posted on here quite a few times regarding Mill's antics with baby shower, our strained relationship and her lack of support throughout pregnancy. If you haven't read them, Mill has been pretty self-centered and unsupportive throughout my entire pregnancy. DH told her multiple times, he wanted her to check on me and growing baby. Each time she gave excuses as to why she hadn't / wouldn't. She won't reach out without prompting. However, she is quick to get upset about feeling left out. A week before the baby shower she began insisting that she help and be a part of the planning, even though everything was already done, so that she could seem involved. So now, our sweet little baby is due in just a few short weeks. As you can imagine, I am in full baby mode. I am exhausted, slightly stressed, and super excited all at once. I haven't heard from my Mill at all since before the baby shower, which was almost a month ago. The other day, I received a message from her, telling me to call her if I need something and also to tell her the name of the hospital my baby will be born at. I told her that my mom and husband have been amazing supporting me, so I don't really need anything. I also skirted around the hospital question, but just giving a general city but not the actual hospital name/location. I guess I pissed her off because she didn't reply. I was trying the gray rock thing that's been suggested to me on here. Now, DH and I have made it a point to keep details like that super private. We do not plan on having anyone, outside of my own mom, at the hospital before, during or after the birth. We might let the grandparents pop by during our last few hours at the hospital for a super short look, but don't touch peek at the baby, but that's a big maybe. Our biggest concern is a safe delivery, keeping baby safe and helping me heal. Our baby is being born during RSV/cold/flu season and we are concerned. A few days after our brief text exchange, DH gets a phone call asking about the name of the hospital. He didn't tell her but said he's glad she brought it up because he wants to make sure it's clear we aren't having many people around. She asked him why we would do that and he explained our concerns about baby's health. She said, well, I want to be at the hospital. I'm going to be there. You can't cut me out. He again explained it's not about cutting anyone out but about the safety of the baby. She told him that we are actually doing more harm than good if we don't let the baby get exposed to different germs right away. DH sensed this convo was going nowhere good, told her we could talk about it later and hung up. I told him we need to call back now and put our foot down. He wants to wait for things to cool off and then send a message to his entire family so they all hear the same thing, not a twisted version from Mill. I don't want to fight for boundaries and respect regarding my child. We are already pretty low contact. Going NC is not an option we're ready to explore. What storm is heading my way and how do I peacefully shut this down? Comment. This is way easy. Just don't tell anyone until you've already had the baby. Seriously, it's that easy. You don't say anything at all that you're in labor. Go to the hospital, have your kid, go home, and relax. Then you can tell folks. Group family text under the umbrella of you making sure everyone is on the same page with what your wishes are for the first few months. Don't hold back. RSV is scary and the last thing you need is a know-it-all Mill trying to teach you a lesson using the health of your newborn. Group family text under the umbrella of you making sure everyone is on the same page with what your wishes are for the first few months. Don't hold back. RSV is scary and the last thing you need is a know-it-all Mill trying to teach you a lesson using the health of your newborn. A massive storm is heading your way. I agree with your DH that a group message is a good idea, but I disagree with waiting. She won't calm down and may already be smearing you to others. The message should be sent sooner than later. You're not being cut out, you are not a victim here. You seem to be under the impression that we are doing something to you by not having you attend. In fact, what we're actually doing is for us and our baby, in that we are setting appropriate boundaries regards access to our newborn throughout cold/flu/RSV season. We will contact you once we have been settled at home a while and are more adjusted to our new routines. Hold strong, you've got this. Peacefully doesn't sound possible because Mill has already made it clear that rules do not apply to her. Don't tack to her, leave her to your DH, you've got enough on your plate and simply do not need the stress. Don't call back and put your foot down because your foot is already down. You aren't letting Mill into the hospital when baby is born because you aren't letting anyone but DH and your mother in. Mill can whine, wail, and stamp her feet but she still ain't getting in. Make sure that you discuss the situation with your L&D team to let them know your wishes in this matter. I do suggest that you guys notify everyone on both sides of the family about how you're going to handle visitors. You don't need to mention Mill at all, just this is what we are going to do and here's when we'll be open to having visitors. Send Mill the exact same message as everyone else and let DH handle her. Wishing you the best.